In this video, we're going to start to build an Aspen platformer for Pygame. Hey guys, John Elder here from codemy.com, and in this video, we're going to start to learn how to create platform games with Pygame. And you're probably familiar with platform games. They're basic two-dimensional type games, and you usually have a player that runs and jumps around, tries to go up onto platforms, up and down, and all the good things. In this video, we're going to start to build out this Aspen platformer game. You can see right here. Now, this is a very basic game, but it's going to allow us to learn the concepts of creating things like tile maps and sprites and all the good things, and it should be a lot of fun. So let's head over to our code using the Sublime Text Editor and the Git Bash terminal as always. And as always, you can find a link to the code in the pinned comment section below, as well as a link to the playlist with all the other videos in this Pygame series. So check that out if you haven't so far. And before we get started, if you like this video and want to see more like it, be sure to smash the like button below, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm, and check out codemy.com where I have dozens of courses with thousands of videos that teach you to code. Use coupon code YouTube50 to get 50% off lifetime membership. It's all my courses, videos, and books for a one-time fee, which is insanely cheap. Okay, I've got a file. I'm calling it aspen_platform.py, and it's our basic Pygame starter code that we always have. So we're initializing the thing. We're setting the window height and width dimensions. And you'll notice this is 960 by 640. We'll talk about that in just a second. And we're doing all the things, setting the FPS to 60, setting a clock. And we've got our loop here, and it checks to make sure that, the player still wants to play. If they click the X, it exits out and quits. So platformers basically run off the concept of a tile map. So we're going to create a tile map, and it's going to be made up of tiles. So we need some tiles to put into the tile map. So I've got 3 that I've created. And if I open a little Windows Explorer in our C/games directory, we've always had this images directory. I created another directory inside of it called tiles. And these are our 3 tiles. Very basic here. So it's just a brown tile, a green, and a blue. Brown is dirt, green is grass, and blue is water. And if we open these, they're just 32 by 32 pixels with some color, right? So very basic, but we'll be able to then build our platform with these. Now, these are specific sizes for a specific reason. They're 32 by 32 pixels. Now, our display surface, our window, has a width of 960 by 640. These are divisible by 32. So if we pull up a calculator, our width is 960 divided by 32. That means there's going to be 30 tiles going across. The height is 640 divided by 32 pixels. That means there's going to be 20 rows, right? So I should say 30 columns by 20 rows, because 30 times 32 is 960 and 20 times 32 is 640. So that's very important, right? So, okay. Now these images, you can use any images that you want. You can download them from my GitHub repository or just build some yourself using any editing software. Just make sure they're 32 by 32, right? So, okay. So let's come down here and let's create a tile map. Now, what we're going to be doing here is creating a nested Python list to represent our screen. And there are lots of different ways you can do this. There are actually programs you can download that will create a tile map for you, because it's a little convoluted, and you'll see it in just a second. But I think especially when you're learning, it's best to just build it out by hand. And actually, it's kind of easier to build it out by hand than learning some of these programs that will do it for you. It's just more complicated. So here, this is going to be a nested Python list. And our list is going to be made up of integers between 0 and 3. So 0 will equal nothing. So I'll just put no tile. 1 will equal dirt. 2 will equal grass. And 3 will equal water. So, okay, let's just build this thing out. I'm going to call this tile_map. And again, this is going to be a nested Python list. So we have let's just do it like this. Now inside of here, we need more lists, right? It's a nested list, and each list will represent a row of our screen, right? So we know we have 960 by 32. We have 30 columns and 20 rows. So that's what we need here. So let's start this out by, let's go 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We got 5 of these, right? Now we're going to need 30, right? So I'm just going to copy this and do this 6 more times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We've got 30 columns now, and we need 20 rows. So we need 20 of these things. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20, right? So this is our tile map, and it is, just that crazy, right? We actually do need to do this. Now we could take out all of these last commas if we want. We really don't need that. I mean, we could leave them in, but it's just a matter of style. And there we go. Same thing with this very last comma here. We could take that out if we want. And now this is just a representation of our entire screen. And if we want to put specific things in that screen, we just need to change these zeros, no tile, into a 1, a 2, or a 3 to represent dirt, grass, or water, right? So that's it. Very cool. Now, let's play around with this. Let's add some stuff here. So let's go down to the bottom and let's put some dirt. Let's put 5 tiles of dirt. So let's go 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 dirts. Now let's put some water after that. And say I want 3 tiles of water. Water is a 3. So 1, 2, 3. Let's go 4, 5, 6. Now we want the rest of this row to be dirt, right? So let's go 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. And you're just going to have to kind of bear with me on this video. It's going to be a lot of just doing this for the next few minutes. I know it's just sort of tedious and it's hard to visualize what this is going to be, but I'll just stick with me here. So let's copy this and let's do the same thing for the second row. So I'm just going to delete this guy and put this back in. Don't forget the comma there. So here we're going to have 2 rows of dirt and then some water and then more dirt. Now on top of that, let's put some grass. So we want the dirt sort of beneath it and the grass on top of it. The grass is what Aspen's going to stand on, right? So our grass is 2. So let's go 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. And we want zeros above the water. But the rest of these, let's put grass. So 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and 2. Okay, so I'm going to leave this as is. We're going to want to build this out more, but just for now, just to sort of kind of see, what this is, because you're going to get really bored if I just spend the rest of the video changing these zeros to 1s and 2s and 3s. We'll get into that later on, but for now, we've got our basic row at the bottom. Let's just save that for now. Okay, we're going to need some sprite groups, right? Each of these tiles are going to be sprites, right? So let's go, say, above our tile map. Let's define our sprite groups. So we want a main tile group, and this is going to be a Pygame.sprite.group. And if you don't understand what these things are, check the playlist. We went over sprite groups many, many times. So I'm going to copy this, and we're going to need a couple more of these. So we need a main tile group, we need a grass group, and we need a water group. Now we also have a dirt group, but we're never going to interact with the dirt. We're always going to have grass on top of the dirt, so we don't really need a tile group for the dirt because we're not ever going to collide with it or anything. So that should be fine there. So we've got these things. Now let's put them onto the screen as we do with our things. We come down into our loop here, and let's say draw the tiles. This is going to be our main tile group. .draw, and we want to draw it on our display surface. In the past, I called that screen, but for some reason, I just decided to call it display surface because that's sort of what it is. We could also rename this screen if we wanted to, but display surface is fine. Let's see, what else? That will be fine for now because we're going to add all of our tiles to the main tile group, and then we'll just put them all up onto the screen. Now, we're going to have a main tile group and a subgroup because, like I said, the dirt doesn't necessarily need to do anything. So we'll get into that in just a second. We've got this thing. Now we need to create a class to deal with our tiles, right? So let's come up here and let's create a tile class. So this is going to be a class. We want to call it tile. And this is going to inherit, of course, pygame.sprite.sprite, as always. Now we want to read and create tiles and put them on the screen, right? So let's define our underscore underscore init underscore underscore. We always want to pass in self. Now we're going to need several things. We're going to need an x and a y coordinate. So let's pass x and y. We're also going to need which of these integers the thing is. So is it a 0, is it a 1, 2, or a 3? So let's just call this image underscore integer. And then we need to know whether it's in the main tile group or a subgroup. So let's call main underscore group and a sub underscore group. And let's give the sub underscore group a default value of nothing. We'll override that a little bit later when we need to. So, okay, that looks good. Inside of here, we want our super dot underscore underscore init underscore underscore as always. And then now we just want to load the image and add to the tile subgroups. And we basically have 3 subgroups. It's either a 1, a 2, or a 3, right? It's either a dirt, a grass, or a water. No tile is just going to go into the main subgroup, right? So to do that, we need to do some logic. So let's go if the image underscore integer, which we're going to pass in when we call this tile class, right? If that image integer equals a 1, right? Well, then that's going to be self.image. And we're going to set that equal to pygame.image.load. And remember, I saved those images in a subdirectory called images and then another subdirectory called tiles. And then the 1 is our dirt.png. All right. Now for dirt, we don't need to add a subgroup. So we'll just leave this as is. All right. And let me copy this. Now let's go elif the image underscore integer equals 2. Well, that's going to be our grass image. 2 is grass down there. Now we also need to add this to the subgroup. So let's go sub underscore group dot add, and we want to pass in self. Elif image underscore integer equals 3. Again, we could paste this thing in, and instead of grass, that's going to be a water. We've got dirt, grass, and water. And again, we need to add that to the subgroup. Okay, now once we've done that, we also need to add every tile to the main tile group. So to do that, we just call our main underscore group dot add and pass in self. This main group and this subgroup are going to get passed in, like I said, when we call this tile, which will become obvious in just a second when we get to that. So, okay. Now, what else do we need to do? Well, we need to do some rect stuff. So let's get the rect of our images and the position within the grid. So let's go self.rect, and that's going to equal self.image.get underscore rect and self.rect. And we want to put these in the top left. And let's set that equal to the x and the y coordinates. Those x and y coordinates are getting passed in when we call this tile class, which we'll see in just a second. Top left, because I want our images to kind of start top left coordinate-wise, and we'll see that in just a second, at the top left of the image. And that looks good. Okay, so we're going through a lot of this stuff fast. These are a lot of concepts we talked about in past videos in this playlist. So if this is confusing to you, check the playlist, go through, read all about classes and all that stuff and getting Rects and doing all that stuff. I'll leave that to you. But hopefully you could sort of figure out where we're going with this. Okay, so we've got our tile class. Now we just need to call that tile class every time we want to put a tile into the tile map, right? So to do that, let's come down here below our tile map. And what we need to do is create tile objects from the tile map. And we're going to do this by creating 2 for loops. We need 2 for loops because our tile map is nested. we've got this Python list and then all of these. So it's sort of like a 2D array, if you're into that sort of thing. So let's start with 20, and we're going to use the integer I to go down because we've got 20 rows, right? So we need to loop through 20 times. So let's go for I in range. Now we could just say 20, but let's do this programmatic here. We want the length of our tile map. So len tile underscore map. The length of our tile map is 20 because there's 20 rows in there, right? So we're going to do this 20 times. And then for each of these rows, we need to loop inside of here and do 30 iterations, right? 30 times because there are 30 columns or 30 zeros in this row, right? So let's go, we want to loop through the 30 elements in each list with the letter J across. So again, let's do another one. Remember, we're doing 4 2 loops because it's nested. So for I, the next one is going to be for J. Again, let's go range. Now we could just say 30, but let's be programmatic about this and call the length of the tile underscore map of I, right? So each I is a row. So, okay, just some basic Python here. Now, for each item here in each of these rows, we need to check, is it a 0? Is it a 1? Is it a 2? Is it a 3? Right? So let's check for 0, 1, 2, 3. So if tile underscore map of I of J, which is the thing inside of each row, right? So this is the Jth item. So each of these numbers is a J, and we're going to go across, right? So for here, it would be 2. And then we'll loop through it again, and the next time it'll be 2. The next time it'll be 2. This is row I, column J. So I, column J, right? So if tile map I, column J equals, and let's start out with, say, 1. Now, we don't really need to do this for 0 because 0 is just blank. We're just going to leave it blank, right? But if that is a 1, well, that's dirt, we know, right? And so what do we want to do? Well, we want to call our tile class. And when we call our tile class, this will create and put a tile on the screen based on if it's a 1, a 2, or a 3. So when we create a tile class, we need to pass in an X, we need to pass in a Y, we need to pass in the image integer. Is it a 0, 1, 2, or 3? And we need to pass in the main group and the subgroup, all right? So we need to pass in a bunch of stuff here. So let's come down here. First, the X and Y coordinates. What are those going to be? It's going to be whatever this is. So that's, say, J times 32 because our image is 32 pixels. That's just sort of a hacky, nice way to do that. Same thing with the Y coordinates. It's not going to be a J. It's going to now be the I times 32. We also want to pass the integer. Which one? Well, we know the integer here is 1, so we're going to pass in that 1. And then we also need to pass in the main tile underscore group, which, let's see, where are those at? That's this guy right here. It's the Sprite group, right? Now, we don't need to pass a subgroup for dirt because, again, we're not ever going to be doing anything with dirt. We're never going to stand on it. We're always going to put dirt below the grass. So if Aspen jumps up on a platform, Aspen's going to be landing on grass, not dirt. So we don't need to pass in a subgroup. So, okay, that looks good. Now, elif let's just copy this whole thing. We don't need an if. So elif, the title map of I and J is a 2. Well, 2 is grass. Remember, 2 is grass, right? So let's go tile. And same thing. I'm just going to copy this whole thing here. J of 32, I of 32. Now this integer is, of course, 2 because we're on 2. We want to pass in the main tile group, but we also want to pass in our grass underscore tile underscore group. So see what I mean by subgroup? The main group holds all of our tiles, but within all of those tiles, it could be a grass group, or it could be a water group, or a dirt group. Well, not a dirt group. It could be a grass tile group or a water tile group, because those are the Sprite groups we created. So main group, subgroup, subgroup. Make sense? Up here, we're passing in main group and subgroup. We're setting it equal to 0 because dirt by default will just be nothing. Otherwise, it'll get overwritten by whatever subgroup it is. Okay, so hopefully that makes sense. Finally, I'm just going to copy this whole thing. We need to do it one more time. If this is a 3, remember 3 is water, right? So let's come down here and let's say water. And this is going to be an integer of 3. Pass in the main tile group and not the grass tile group, the water tile group. Because again, that's what our sprite group is for water, right? Okay. So, that was a lot, right? Did we forget something? I feel like we did. But we're adding the Rects, our main group. I think we're good. So let's go ahead and save this and run it and see how many mistakes we just made with that. So let's head over to our terminal. I'm in my C/games directory, and we can run Python aspen_platform.py. And boom, it worked. So we have this tile of grass, dirt underneath it. Notice how I mentioned we're never going to interact with dirt because we're always going to have grass on top of it. We've got some water underneath. And all right, we are good to go. So, okay, let's build out this platform a little bit. Let's play around with this. We've got a couple of minutes, right? Why not? So let's come down to our tile group. And at the top 2 rows, I don't want anything, I don't think. But then right underneath it, let's go some grass. Let's go 2, 2, 2, 2. And right underneath that, let's put some dirt. So dirt, 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 dirt. As you play around with this, it sort of becomes easier, right? And then towards the end, on the other side, let's put, I don't know, like 8 grasses. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And same thing, let's put dirt underneath that grass. Oops, there we go. So let's save this and run it, see what that did. All right, so we've got another bit here at the top, and maybe we might want to move this down, depending on how big we make Aspen. But all right, we'll just leave it like this for now because, hey, this is cool. And all right, what else do we want? Well, let's add some more stuff. Let's go to the end of this row here, and let's go down 3. Let's go over 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And let's do 4 more, I don't know, let's say grasses, dirt, dirt, grass, 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 grass. And then underneath here, 1, 1, 1. Okay. And let's go down 3 again. And I don't know, let's go over what, say 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then let's do it again. Let's go 2, 2, 2, 2, and 1, 1. Seems tedious, right? But it's kind of fun. And then let's go all the way over and go down here, and I don't know, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1. I don't know. What are we doing here? And then maybe at the end of this row, let's also put another couple of things. I don't know. We're just playing around here. Run this guy again, see how that looked. All right. So, yeah, we've got a thing here. If Aspen started here, she might come over here and then jump up on this platform and then jump over here on this one and this one and this one. Or maybe we get her to jump way over here. Or maybe we jump over the water. Or maybe if we jump from here to here and we missed, oh, she falls into the water. There's all kinds of fun stuff going on here, right? Now, we don't have Aspen on the screen. We'll probably do that in the next video. You can figure that out on your own anyway, just from past videos, but it might be a little different because it's platformer. We'll get into all that later. This video is getting pretty long, so I think we're going to stop here. But man, this is fun, especially if you're as old as I am and you remember playing games like this on the Atari or even the very, very, very first Nintendo. This is awesome, right? So, okay, and really not that difficult. Yes, this is kind of weird, but also kind of not, right? This is pretty easy to visualize. Different 2s and 1s and 3s for water. And it's just sort of that easy. So that's all for this video. If you liked it, be sure to smash the like button below, subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm, and check out codemy.com where you can use coupon code YouTube50 to get 50% off lifetime membership. So that's access to all my courses, over 60 courses, thousands of videos, and the PDFs of all my best-selling coding books. Join over 190,000 students learning to code just like you. My name is John Elder from codemy.com, and I'll see you in the next video.